This afternoon, Donald Trump gave an amazing speech to the United Nations. The President of the United States covered everything from criticising his Democratic opponent, Sleepy Joe, to recognition of the Palestinian state, to threatening more tariffs to hostile states. But it was as President Trump gave his opinion on the state of Europe that his message really hit home. Donald Trump has long been forthright in his views on the effect of mass migration and the effect it's having on Europe. And here is what he said.
The President of the United States, but I worry about Europe. I love Europe. I love the people of Europe. And I hate to see it being devastated by energy and immigration. This double-tailed monster destroys everything in its wake.
The double-tailed monster. He accused European nations of risking our entire existence by wanting to be nice, going as far as to say,
it's time to end the failed experiment of open borders. You have to end it now. See, I can tell you. I'm really good at this stuff. Your countries are going to hell.
And he is really good at this stuff, isn't he? Speaking with authority and humour. He has tackled this problem successfully in the United States, deporting a reported 200,000 illegal migrants in taking office in January. And I think that's why we should listen to him. In the financial year 2023 to 24, the Home Office, that's you, the taxpayer, spent £5.38 billion on asylum alone. In March 2025, households with at least one foreign national received nearly £1 billion in universal credit, up from under £500 million for the same type of households in March 2022. We are failing to deport people with no right to be here because a pseudo-judge decides a child's propensity for chicken nuggets is more important than upholding the law. President Trump, as he often does, praised the Reverend Starmer, but the compliment was not bestowed on the London Mayor Sadiq Khan. Last week, Trump told reporters he'd asked the mayor not to participate in his state visit.
I didn't want him there. I asked that he not be there. I don't want them. I think the mayor of London, Khan, is among the worst mayors in the world. And we have some bad ones.
And that was a question from our own Bev Turner. And today, he accused Mayor Khan of this.
I look at London, where you have a terrible mayor, terrible mayor. And it's been so changed. Now they want to go to Sharia law. But you're in a different country. You can't do that.
Well, Sir Sadiq Khan would, of course, deny any intention to allow Sharia law in London. But we must ask why the President of the United States, and an Anglophile, feels the need to stand up at the United Nations and lament the state of the United Kingdom and especially London in such powerful terms. No doubt he thinks Somerset's doing very well. Britain's immigration crisis is an embarrassment on the world stage, as are the foolish green policies which Trump mercilessly mocked. He teased Europe for pointlessly cutting emissions while the rest of the world pushed them up, taking jobs and manufacturing from Europe at the same time. And he criticised Starmer for making us cold and poor, for failing to maximise output in the North Sea. Migration and green policies are eroding our economic influence. It makes other nations think less of us and take us less seriously. And Trump's comments today exemplify the extent to which we are suffering on the world stage by our government's inability to tackle our problems. As always, let me know what you think. mailmog@gbnews.com.
Using the internet without a VPN, a virtual private network, is a bit like taking to the road without car insurance. All it takes is one unlucky moment to cost you a lot of cash. This video's sponsor is Private Internet Access. They are the VPN to help keep you safe. Click the link in the description below to find out why over 30 million people have downloaded PIA to protect themselves online. A virtual private network is an app that hides your IP address and helps keep your data private. When you're browsing the internet at home, you give up a large amount of data to businesses, to shops, and indeed to social media giants too. Hackers have the ability to steal your personal data with ease, including sensitive information such as passwords, keystrokes, and even your personal photos. Private Internet Access helps protect your personal data by encrypting your internet connection to keep your data out of the hands of cyber criminals. And it's not just hackers either to be concerned about. Information can be censored too. When Canada passed their C-18 bill, social media giants decided to ban news content on their platforms. But PIA can protect your ability to consume the news and content you love. Private Internet Access is available for Windows users, Mac OS, Android, Linux, iOS, and you can use one PIA subscription to protect an unlimited amount of devices. And we've got a huge GB News discount for you too. Click the link in this video's description and you'll get a massive 83% off PIA. That's under £2 a month, the price of a coffee, and you'll get an extra 4 months completely free on top. Also, there's a 30-day money-back guarantee too. Visit piavpn.com/GB News to start protecting yourself digitally today.
Well, I'm joined now by a great friend of the programme, Chairman of Republicans Overseas, Greg Swenson, and my most pugnacious panel. Greg, let me come to you first. It must make the heart beat a little bit faster and the red corpuscles expand when you hear President Trump being so forthright, telling the UN it's useless, it can't even run its escalators, and his mocking. He's very amusing when he makes these speeches.
Absolutely, and this started in 2015 when he first entered the political realm. President Trump is saying what a lot of people are thinking. And I would argue the majority of people are thinking. So it's provocative, it's unconventional, but he's right. And I think what he's pointed out today is something that we've been arguing for years now, perhaps in a more polite tone, but the president doesn't do that. The president he likes to throw a grenade in the room. He likes to shake it up a little bit because it works. And so good for him.
And that's what I like about it, is that he's standing up for the little man against the elite. He's standing up for his voters and indeed for the man in the street in Europe, the man on the Clapham omnibus, against the people who are making a lot of money out of all this green stuff and the people who get lots of low wages from mass migration. And he's on the side of the people.
Absolutely. If you look at the top two issues in the US during the election year, in Ireland, where I spent a lot of time, and here in the UK, it's cost of living, it's mass migration, or in the US specifically, in the UK, illegal migration. Those are the top two issues. And all you hear from government is, how do we get rid of disinformation or policing information and the existential crisis of climate change? Now, businesses, and I imagine consumers in the UK, are paying 5 times as much for energy in the US. I think I mentioned on your show last week, Jacob, the UK was energy independent 20 years ago in 2005. And this is who pays for that? It's the people who have to drive. I don't really care how much a gallon of gas or petrol costs. It's not going to change my life. But it's the people that can least afford it. When it ticks up to $100 on an orders here in the UK, it's the elite, the sort of Islington crowd or the Westminster crowd they're happy with the green policies or the net zero policies. Doesn't really affect them.
Doesn't make any difference.
No, and so it's really criminal to see the disconnect between what left governments, including the Conservatives a few years ago, are doing versus what the people care about.
Absolutely. Well, Michael, let me bring you in because actually
I'm just laughing at what Greg had to say. And what you had to say about him representing the little man.
He does.
How is that not true?
And all his donors are some of the wealthiest people on the planet. He may represent what's in some of their mind, but he hasn't really got their interests at heart. His interests at heart are to make as much money for himself while he's in office, to exploit his office, as that very courageous Australian journalist put it to him the other day. What's his name? Something Lyons. Brilliant man. And I hope he's not persecuted by his government or the Trump government, which doesn't believe in free speech, by the way, and let's pretend it does. Let me ask Greg. So do you believe that Sadiq Khan's going to introduce Sharia law?
No, but what the...
Right, and do you believe in invading Canada?
I can't get into...
Do you believe in invading Canada?
I don't get into Sadiq Khan's head. I don't
what
know
about Canada?
thinking.
You believe in invading Canada?
But he doesn't
the man is nuts.
But he doesn't believe in invading Canada.
Well, he said he does. He wants to invade Canada and Greenland.
Michael, you're falling into the trap of the po-faced lefties who don't understand when Trump is... You're not normally. when Trump is teasing people.
Well, how do we know what the guide is? Because sometimes
it's pretty obvious.
You think, well, no, it isn't obvious. Sometimes you think he's teasing, and then it turns out to be true. Okay. As for this idea that Trump has been brilliantly successful at deporting people, and it's been a disaster in Europe, it's many, many times more difficult in Europe. Why? Because you have a sea, you have a very complicated shoreline. In the Americas, Trump is on friendly terms with most of Central and Latin America.
Well,
and if he isn't, he can bully them.
He can bully them. But
Yeah.
Europe can bully a bit if it weren't so useless. Kelvin, I mean, his speech was
you can't bully
magnificent.
Afghanistan into taking
Let's just
people
deal
back.
with actually the facts on it.
Yeah.
What he said was, London has changed, so changed. And that is true. Mm-hmm. Honestly, over the last 5 years, extraordinary things have happened. The last census showed that 40-odd% of people born in London actually were born outside the UK. And 60-odd% were British, but were black or brown British, right?
Well, what's wrong with that?
Right. So this is my point. Right. So that is where you are. So you're going to say that our capital city, being 60% dominated by people of colour, is normal. Do you think that's normal? That is not normal, Michael. You've gone mad.
Our capital city is a lot more successful than his capital city, where on his own terms he's had to send in the National Guard.
He sends it in. He sends the National Guard into a lot of places, and the crime goes down 40% when he sends it in.
It's now completely safe. You can now walk to dinner
is prospering.
in Washington.
It is not prospering, man.
It is prospering. It's the one prosperous button.
You do live in London, don't you?
I do live in London.
Well, I'm telling you, it is not prospering. You get anybody from
You go on about black and brown people. Why don't you consider them for what
the country to change without my permission? I want to vote on it. I want to vote on it, Michael. You don't want to vote on it. You just want to agree on it.
You want to vote on it.
I want to vote on saying we don't want any more people coming into our country. We can't cope with what we've got.
White people as well.
I don't care what colour they are.
Well, why did you not mention them?
I can't come in because what Trump said, if you had listened, he said that London has changed, and anybody who is a Londoner, it has changed.
Decent capital city changes.
No, not in the way that London has.
Thriving capital cities change. It's
not in the way London has. London has been an enormous change.
If the city didn't change, it would be stagnating.
I don't want
this is a wonderful
any more
city
illegals or anybody coming into our country.
Two of the world's greatest universities.
I think I'm going to come to Greg, because Greg, clearly Donald Trump had a point. London is in a bit of a muddle, and we see it from these two, that people can't agree on what London's like.
Absolutely true.
And that actually it's feeling poor and dirty at the moment.
And Jacob, you're right. He likes to taunt. He likes to taunt the progressive left, and it's worked, obviously. And so I think that, they have the tantrums. So there's, again, he's unconventional. There'll be tantrums. The progressive left and the media, same thing in the U.S., will go berserk. And then in a few days, people will start to think, you know what? He has a point.
What, about Sharia law?
He has a... Well, no.
Can you tell me? Go through the speech and tell me where he was teasing.
Just like invading Canada.
Why does he keep saying
or buying Greenland.
Because can you tell me what things it is that, and what else is he?
You weren't listening to my first point. He likes to throw a grenade in the room and be provocative, and then the outcome.
Can you tell me what the grenades are? Because we would like to have a guide, please.
The outcomes from his first term, for example.
For instance, Gaza, turning it into a seafront for the rich.
Yeah.
Is that a grenade or is that a real policy?
And guess what happened? Neighbors in the region made commitments to
Blair now agrees with that.
So look at the outcomes. They work.
I think the key to this is that the left never know when their leg is being pulled. Anyway,